What's up, guys? Welcome to another Merch Monday for February 18th, 2019. My name is Nathaniel Hibbert. This is my brother, Stephen Hibbert. Hello to all the new people that we've added to the group. Glad to see that this thing is still growing. There's still people finding us magically, even though we have not promoted this thing that well or talked about it or gone to any conferences lately. But there are still people hearing from the word of mouth, so we appreciate everyone in this group still talking about us, all the wonderful things that we're trying to create, and just knowledge that we'd like to share with you guys. We think that we have an awesome community, and we're glad that it is just growing even without us like catering.
Well, we've been
to
trying to keep it to 1,000, and we have done so. But I think this year we have goals now to grow this thing. We just want to lay a solid foundation first, and then start going out and promoting. It's just a little difficult when people on board or try to follow us or get up to speed. There's no real entry point for them. It's like if you've been with us for a while, then you kind of know what's going on. If you don't, then there's no real great place for us to point you.
Yeah.
And we're trying to work on getting better at that.
We are working on that for sure. I'm going to jump into doing a little sound check. If you want to talk about, well, it's kind of my thing, but the remake thing, I know that you were hyped on that and maybe some other ideas that could go with that. And you guys in chat, if you could give us a thumbs up, if you can hear and this looks okay, that's something I think I'm going to be asking you guys, because I do a sound check really quickly at the beginning. But when you guys jump in here, if you're seeing this, if you could just hit us with a thumbs up, that will allow us to know that people are being able to hear and see us, which is a concern as more and more programs get added to what we're doing. We just want to keep making sure that we are providing quality content.
Yeah, so your hashtag you added on hashtag remake. I was so hyped up on it because it was the first time where we've kicked around of idea for a long time and never had a good spot for it. And finally we're able to pull something like that off in a way that made sense. I really want you to show more of your art skill coming from the background that you have. You have a high understanding of graphics. You have a good understanding of a lot of different programs. And inside the t-shirt space, you have a lot of knowledge. Showing that through Photoshop, I know is not really your favorite because of how many tools are in there. And I get it more now, but I think just doing this where it's like, let somebody show you what it is that they're looking for, and then you can recreate it. And with that, you'll be able to drop in those gems of okay, I view it this way, or I think about it this way, or I use this tool to speed up this process. I just think that's what I was trying to pull out of you, but I didn't have a good way of doing it. So now that you have this idea to where okay, if somebody shows me what it is, then I can recreate it. And as long as we're capturing that, then a lot of those ideas can come out. The very first one that we shot and we put up on YouTube, that has a whole bunch of views already, and it got a lot of likes. But that was us kind of just figuring out how. It's almost like we needed an intro into this idea, and I think us stumbling through that process was still people are excited about it. So I'm even more excited about that hashtag remake. We're going to keep doing that as long as, I guess, you are willing to do the work.
I'm going to try find time. I don't know if it will be weekly, but I am going to try and find time to do that. I was really happy with the fact that you guys are actually getting value out of that. Teaching on Photoshop has been this thing kind of hanging over my head for a while now, just because it just seems so overwhelming. Yeah, it's this daunting thing that you have to do. And the same way of how we started teaching our t-shirt system, it's we are doing this one way, but you can use this in so many different ways. It's the same thing for Photoshop. Here is this toolbox, I'm using it this way, this is the way that I solve problems with this program, but it's not the only way, and it's probably not the most streamlined way. So I know there are more knowledgeable people on Photoshop, even inside of this group, that could be doing things better or in a different way, but it's just this is the way I get things done. So it's a little bit of showing you just okay, this is the way that I'm self-taught and I've done this. I've been a little conscious about it, but seeing that you guys are getting value out of that makes me want to do it just more and more. So we are going to keep that hashtag remake going. If you haven't heard anything about that, if you haven't seen the previous videos, I guess we should explain what hashtag remake is. Last week, I asked people just to post images that you guys see online or that you think is inspiring or just interesting that you would like someone to create inside of Photoshop and see how they would do it. And so that's what I was asking people, just to post an image with hashtag remake inside of it. And there were some great comments on those videos. And also it was just fun for me to use some of my Photoshop knowledge and teach in a way that was, good for me to like wrap my head around. It was really cool to see that like I could just blurt out what was going through my head and just like do things the way I wanted to without like, okay, here's this tool, you're gonna have to select it, like this is the photo, or this is like the document that you're gonna have to open up. Like we kind of covered that in the opener video that we did on YouTube, and now I just get to dive in like, oh, okay, here's the step and repeat tool, this is how you would use this is how I would quickly, because that's always the thing like I'm focused on, is the speed and efficiency. Like here's a way of doing that. So that was really cool. I could talk about that for the rest of the night, but in order to move through a couple of other things, I just wanted to say
I like that idea so much. I think I was jealous because I'm using a lot of tools. I'm not going to list them all, but like I wanted to show people very clever ways to use a lot of those tools. They're very expensive monthly tools, and in case people have them in here, which I know a lot of people in here have different tools for different purposes, I've kind of combined all of that knowledge into just the print on demand, so I can manipulate the tools in a way that like gives me back the information I need. Kind of like how you're using Photoshop. There's so many tools and there's so many different ways to do it, but you use it and get the most out of it. For you, I want to be able to do that kind of with this group. I haven't quite wrapped my head around how to do that. I don't know if it's just pick a tool and then just do a deep dive and answer everybody's question. But as the weeks go on, I seem to think I'll do that more and more. My brain is starting to think about that process. I want to hashtag something so that I can just come in 5-10 minutes, explain a new way of solving a problem. We're doing a course with Jenny that I'm having a blast in because it's finally like this idea that I've been doing for the last 2 years and kicking around and trying to perfect and show. I'm able to like finally have a place to put a lot of that knowledge. There's still a lot of tips and tricks that I want to give, but it's almost like you have to show people in a process to wrap their head around like what it is that we're doing. It's helping me better understand how I want to be teaching in the future and how I want to get this idea out to people.
Yeah, no, I love the hashtag remakes already after just a week. Even Melinda is asking in chat right now to see some distressing techniques. If you post hashtag remake in this group with just any image that has distress on it and say that you just want to focus on those distress techniques.
That's interesting too.
I can do that for sure. I talked about it a little bit on one of the videos already, but I can do kind of a more in-depth guide on how I do my distress stuff.
Yeah, so even if they do the hashtag, they can still like
tell me what they want.
Can you use this tool or anything?
I think most people had done that. Now that I think back to it, maybe some people were just like, hey, this is a cool thing, I'd love to see if you could remake this. But I think two of the videos stick out in my head of like someone was wondering how to do gradients and work through gradients, the other person was wondering how to do distress stuff, but it wasn't quite as in-depth as I could go. So yeah, if you guys want to put hashtag remake with an image and like tell me exactly what you're trying to do with that image, that will help me too. I think we're really good problem solvers. I think that's what we've learned the most. Definitely working online is how to problem solve. So this is easier for us when we get like a very direct problem that we're trying to solve. It's harder for us to like think of all the problems. Yeah, and give like general advice. But for very like specific things, like how do I do this one thing inside of Photoshop? Like I can either learn myself how to do that and teach it real quick, or I might have it from like my previous experience of designing all the time. And just quickly make a video for that. So
yeah, I think another idea that you had was the recorded feedback for people, where you're doing the account health checks. I think that is kind of where we thrive, is in that space where it's like, here, show me what you're working on, and then I can give you very direct advice. We're really good at that. We've been doing a lot of one-on-one helping for a long time. Teaching to a larger audience is very new to us, and I think that's kind of the process that we're still learning. I think we are getting much better. But for some reason, we really thrive on that one-on-one helping people.
Like direct contact, yeah. So account audits is something that I have been doing kind of on the down low, not promoting a bunch, kind of like this group, just because it's
That's how we operate in the shadows.
Yeah, it's very time-consuming to do them, but it is so rewarding to help. So what an account audit is it's me looking over 5 of your listings in giving you direct feedback for what I think you could do differently. I go over the landing zones, I go over the keywords that you have, I go over the artwork. I ask you a few questions at the beginning just to see kind of where you're at, like who does your artwork, how are you doing your keywords, what's your favorite part about this, and things like that. So I just know how to give you even more precise information or feedback rather. And that's been really rewarding. I think I could probably get testimonies for this. I should probably do that. Get testimonies.
You have some in here.
Yeah,
already.
I just have to get them all together. They're in different groups, and
we need landing pages for that stuff.
Yeah,
so that when we're directing people, it's just better.
But I'm not trying to just promote this by itself. What I wanted to do this week is hopefully next week I will have more time than I do this week. But this week I wanted to do a giveaway, or at least the starting of a giveaway, and then talk about it next Merch Monday, like who actually wins. So I will be giving away one account audit this week. And the way that you sign up for that is actually in the description of this Merch Monday. You can enter the account audit giveaway. And it's just a form. It asks you your name, your email, and then the best time to watch something on Facebook Live, as we're trying to do more directed content at you guys. And we want to make sure that we're getting as many people as possible to watch something. So just 3 questions. 2 of them should be super easy to answer. One of them you might have to look at your schedule a little bit. But we are trying to provide more value for you guys. So knowing when you can actually watch us, instead of trying to do a poll and that all getting messy on Facebook, I just thought do it this way. And maybe that will help us out. But I'm excited to give that away. I think everyone that I've done one of those for has seen success, or understood something in a deeper way that like allowed them to either make more listings or have more confidence with what they're doing. And so I really look forward to those. I always say that I try to do them in like 20 minutes, but I don't think I've done one under like 45 minutes to an hour. So it's just me like spewing out just stuff that I think that will help you guys, looking at the brand, like really doing a deep dive on just 5 of your listings to tell you, where I think you're at, some things I think you could be doing better, suggesting maybe tools that could help you out a little bit more. All of that stuff, just all of this knowledge that's been rattling around up here for print on demand and merch specifically. I wanted to start getting out to you guys. So I'm just going to do one of those, and that's why I'm doing a giveaway for it. I was going to charge for it, but I think it's just more fun this way to do a giveaway. In future, I might be charging for them, depending on how you guys react to this. If you guys really want that as something we offer, I'll come up with a price and a strategy for all of that. But we've just been doing this as like a little bonus for people who have bought into courses in the past, and just be like, hey, if you want me to look over this, I can do that. But bringing it to this big group now, I just have to be cautious because, like I said, it's like an hour of me actually recording it, but it's like 2-3 hours of me actually going over your listings and taking notes on things. So I'm not just like getting on there and rambling. It's actually like thought through hours worth of content. Again, I'll be doing one of those. The way that you sign up for the account audit giveaway is to go into the link in the description, and we will take all of those names next Monday, pull a random winner, and then we'll announce it on that Merch Monday. And then I will figure out probably by the end of next week if we want to charge for that, if that's something we want to make available as a service in this group, as some other like ongoing things that we'll have. But we'll figure that out as a group moving forward. All right, so that's my pitch for the giveaway. If you guys are interested, again, the link is in the description. It's a hard segue on you, but you got the next topic. So
I posted in this group, I was reading, I don't even remember which book it is now. I've been trying to catch up on a lot of reading. We've been doing a lot of things, and I just haven't had time to go back to reading books. But if you had a magic wand and could wave away like one problem, what would it be? And I was very surprised by the answers. A lot of people were just saying copycats. I guess because of the way that me and Nithya operate our business, like that is a non-concern for us. Yeah. It's, I guess, the way that we're using print on demand as a whole. We almost just exclusively use merch as like a testing ground. I guess you have an account that you're a little bit more serious about, but that how I view it is just like a testing place to test ideas and then take that information and then move on with it. I want to be bringing a lot more of that knowledge to this group of like how to get the most out of the sales that you're getting, or as long as you're tracking your information, like what to pull out of that so you can go and use it on other platforms or other products, or build actual private label products or a brand or a product line around that stuff. But The copycat situation I just want to address because it's maybe a place of ignorance. Maybe I'm assuming what I think a copycat is, and I want to better understand what the group thinks a copycat is. Because if you think of it, our method that we're showing you is how to niche down like away from a lot of competition. A lot of places that we suggest or direct you to is very similar, and we're almost telling you to pull inspiration from that place. So I don't know if we're adding to the problem of people saying, oh, I'm getting copycats on my listings. There's a lot of tools, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, that show like the best sellers, and I think what's happening is people see those best sellers and then just completely remake that thing, not even really drawing inspiration from, but actually copying it, and then that is considered a copycat. At least that's what I consider a copycat. But I do want to in some way address that. Nathaniel has an idea. I think Wednesday you're going to go live and kind of break down copycats and just a different perspective of how we see it, addressing what a copycat is, what drawing inspiration from is, just as an art standpoint. But I just want to address the copycats as a problem in general. If that is your biggest problem, then I think merch might not be the best place to be spending all of your time. It is extremely competitive. In order to find a lot of success on merch, I think you really have to dive into a niche and fully understand that niche and those niche customers, and then take that idea and that information away from merch, because it is so competitive and very difficult to actually build a brand inside merch. But if your sole focus is on merch, then trying to find new trends to go after and then try to flood that space, because you have unlimited, well, you don't have unlimited listings, but it is free to put up listings and very quick to put up the listings. When me and Nathaniel were going and being the first to market, we put up one shirt and then very quickly got flooded out with exact copycatters. They were taking Nathaniel's image and then pixel by pixel copying it, our title, everything else. We found from that experience that if we're the first to market, we put multiple shirts, multiple designs, multiple titles, multiple brands inside that one landing zone, and kind of, we call it flooding it out. And we just put a lot of listings there. So if other people do come in, it's not just our listing and then a new listing comes and then they're in the number 2 position. We want to be that top page or 2 if we are a new product to market. So if that is where you're coming from, you're saying, hey, I'm coming at this from a new trend. I want to be first to market. I put a shirt here and now everybody's copying me. We've definitely been there. We try to flood out that spot, but that's shirts. Not really even the thing that we're focused on anymore. We have a bigger view of print on demand, and merch is just a tool on our tool belt. If copycats is your major problem, I would suggest just taking that information and attempting to use it in other places where it's a lot less competitive.
Yeah, and we will be talking about those other places in the next couple of months. We've been saying this year. It's finally this year. We're wrapping up some merch content that I guess we'll talk about in a second. But we will be talking about those other places. It was just really surprising to see that. I thought it was such a brilliant question that Steven asked. It was from whatever book he was reading of just like,
I stole it. I ain't gonna lie. I stole that question.
Had a magic wand.
That was a copycat question. I tweaked it a little bit to fit merch, but I pretty much stole that right out the book.
Yeah, so if you had a magic wand to like solve whatever problem you had in merch, right? That was how it was worded. Like what would you fix? And people were just like, a lot of people said the copycats or like keyword research and other things, but a lot more people were concerned with copycats than I would expect for sure. So
it almost was a good and bad. It felt good that people didn't just say like research, because before we've asked questions like that, it was always like research.
The stuff and then I felt like we're teaching
did a good job of research, and then it was art, and now I feel like we did a good job of that. So having a copycat as the biggest problem in this group makes me feel good that we're doing a good job, but at the same time, we have not addressed that problem. And if that is a major need for this group, we need to address that problem. And I think that's why we're moving in the print on demand space instead of just the merch space.
Yeah. So Steven's definitely going to be talking, or just did kind of talk about like a way of adapting to people copying your designs. You can either flood out a niche, especially if you're the first one to go to market. If you type something in and no one's like found it, or if it's
new
like
idea.
Upcoming, if you're like the first one to the market with something, just put a bunch of shirts there, as many as you can, basically in like a day or two, so that you will have all of those top spots. And then also maybe going to another print-on-demand platform with that idea will be better than all of the competition now that we have on merch. You feel like your designs are being stolen, I mean, that's one thing, you can chase them down. It's always been more hassle than we feel worth it, because if someone's stealing what we're doing, it just means that we're doing something right. It probably means that we have sales and people are actually seeing it to even steal it. So we just see that as like, oh, we found something that was working here. Let's figure out what we did and try it somewhere else. So that's one strategy. And then also just, making art in a way that you're taking inspiration from people, but not directly stealing it. And even the way to look at landing zones to know like what type of competition you're going to be dealing with. If copycat is something that you're constantly running into and you're like, oh, I can't stand out here. Everyone's using the exact same saying and the exact same images, and I can't make something that's going to be competitive to stand out there. There are other ways to look at landing zones than just our 5-step test that I've shared in a few of our courses, but I haven't shared in this group about like different ways to look at landing zones to know who you're competing against as far as the art side goes.
Yeah, and I just want to address like what is a copycat and what.
Yeah, the terminology has been used differently in different places, so we just want to talk about those things as
and we even say it sometimes. Well, when you were teaching on art, we said it as like this landing zone is a copycat like landing zone. I think we misused it also.
Yeah, so we could have found a better word, but that was just something we had said to each other. So we are still working on wording things better, making sure what we're talking about is clear. You guys kind of understand the language that we use. I think landing zones is pretty understood universally in this group. Yeah, which is very nice, because we were saying that for a while and people were like, what the heck is a landing zone? But now we just got to figure out like a few more of those terms or find better words for them so everyone understands what's going on there.
Yeah, split testing, doubling down, those I think are good because there's not really anything else in this space. But when we did say copycat and a few other things, there's a double meaning there, and we might be throwing people off, and we just want to clarify what it is that we're talking about, and maybe even change the terminology. I don't think we should be saying copycat anymore, because it's I think what people think as copycat is a pixel per pixel, and when we were using it, we were just saying very similar.
Yeah, inspiration, basically. I think you should be asking more questions like that. I know that it's not easy to find questions that like provoke people to answer them in such a direct way, but we are going to try and ask more questions just so we get more answers and know what you guys are struggling with. I mean, if you know what you're struggling with and you can just post it, like, we love hearing that stuff. Like we said, it used to just be, art, and then it was keywords, and we feel like we've covered those. So now we're just looking for other things that a lot of people in this group are struggling with, so we can make content that will help you guys out and not just keep talking about the same things or whatever.
Yeah, when we kind of feel like we laid a solid merch base, I think then a lot more questions will come. At least I hope. We'll be throwing people under the bus. I'm pushing a lot of people to fail on purpose in a lot of different places to bring up those questions. I think that's really the only way that you learn is through failures. I could be wrong.
I think you have to explain that. That sounds so bad.
Well, I think even as a child, when you try to learn to walk, I use this somewhere. But as a child, when you're learning to walk, you don't just stand up and start walking. You have to like get up, fall, bang your head, scrape your knee, and then you learn to walk. I think just in life, there's a lot of times that you need to learn by failing. You obviously learn to walk because you're walking around, but there was a process to do that. Now you don't even think about it. It's just a natural progression of problem solving. Really, that's what it is. I want you to be failing so you can solve problems. If you're failing, it's just a lack of knowledge that you're running into. If you had that knowledge, then you wouldn't have that problem. And I think if you're not failing, then you're really staying in your comfort zone, and you need to kind of get out of your comfort zone to, I think, reach your potential or the goals that you're trying to reach. And that's what I'm trying to do, is get people out of their comfort zone, push people past where they feel comfortable. That's why I really want
you
guys to fail. Well, it might sound bad, but that's ultimately what I want.
Do you have an example of how you're doing that? Because that sounds so bad. Like if they're citing it for a course, you're just like, I want you guys to fail.
I mean, I guess it's perfect for the 100 days in 6 or the 100 products in 6 weeks. Is we are pushing people out of their comfort zone with like, just get 10 books.
I think that's
just
a better
get this
way
many
of saying
things up.
It.
What?
Pushing people out of their comfort zone.
Nah, failing. I like it. All right. I'm gonna be a little rough and raw this year. We've already discovered that you're willing to talk to a lot of the people with the PMs. I don't know. I don't have that like nice guy image. I'm gonna tell you the truth, even if it hurts a little bit. And my tactfulness. I'm not a politician, so I can't like sugarcoat anything. It's gonna be a lot more raw if you're asking me, if you're, I don't think I'd say you're dumb or anything. I'd just say, hey, you really need to be doing this, or try and do this. And once you do these things and it doesn't turn out the way that you want, then what happened, or at least let's think about this so we can help you gain the information that you need to find success in what you're doing.
Much better. Pushing you out of your comfort zone so
Okay.
that
well, then you
we
can
can
keep
look
sweeping in
at
what I do.
the
I want you to
things.
fail.
Okay. So we're pushing you out of your comfort zone so that you can look back at things that haven't gone the way you wanted them to and figure out what is going on. So like we said, like when we're flooding a niche, when we're putting something there, we're looking at, why did this happen? Why did we put up one design and then our design got pushed to page 6 because, everyone else came to market? Oh, okay. Well, we just need to put more things up there. Like that was a lesson we learned that we've shared with you guys, and just things like that. It's very impactful when it actually happens to you. When you're the one to put up a shirt and it's selling like hotcakes and then all of a sudden you can't even find it yourself, then it's like, oh, now I understand why they say flooding the market. So
yeah, and that burned a lot because that was at a time that we were switching gears from doing a lot of wholesale OARA private label and then going almost all in on merch. And that was one of the first times where we had a shirt that was selling a lot per day. And then almost overnight we woke up and there was 500 other people on it, and that income stream was gone, or at least for that one shirt. But I think that's when you truly learn. Like that was a big fail for us. We had success with it, and then we could have done better, and we just didn't know. And now looking back, have a much better strategy for doing stuff like that.
So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. All right. So your action step for this week is just to enter the giveaway. That's where I want you guys to be over there, clicking that link, putting in your information. I want to do more with those account audits. It's a fantastic idea that I have kind of let go stagnant for a couple of weeks just because of how busy we've been. But you guys being excited about a deal like this remake thing, like makes me put more time into it. And I think that's something that really impacts people's businesses and maybe even their life, just from having direct feedback like that. So I don't want that idea to die. I want you guys to go enter that giveaway and hopefully win it so that I can tell you, my advice from the last 3 years of doing this, of what I would be doing differently for your listings. And those listings can either be like your best selling listings, and I can look at and try and figure out why they might be your best sellers, or they could be listings that have never sold. And you're just like, I put this stuff up, I can't find it, I don't know why no one's clicking on this stuff and all of that. I will spend time to try and figure those things out and give you answers on that. So that's your action step. We did have a few questions that I wanted to answer as well. Allison actually asked that question this week. She was looking for some of her shirts that she had to put in a very specific landing zone and couldn't find them. And I will let Steven answer that since that's his area of expertise.
Yeah, it was a little unclear the way that she asked it. She said she made some niche shirts and couldn't find them. I think through the thread, she said she did target some landing zones and was unable to find them that way. I asked when the shirts were made, but I just asked today, so I don't know if she even saw that or got back to me. But if they were older shirts, Amazon changes things behind the scenes, and a lot of older shirts, their BSRs got wiped out, the indexing got wiped out, so it could have been caught up in that, where you just lost your position due to how Amazon handles a flood of t-shirts. It could also be that the landing zone is too competitive. If you're looking at a landing zone, and even if it has under 1,000, but all those top shirts are well under 100,000, that just means they're selling extremely fast. Amazon's not going to outrank them for a shirt that's unproven. That's why we kind of say you want at least 8 out of the top 10. It is good to see sometimes that there's in the top 10 one without any BSR, because then that could be your slot. There's an open position there. That's kind of how we view it. We don't want a ton of open slots because we want to make sure that there's actually sales, and we want sales velocity. That's why we look for 2 of them to be under 1 million. But without knowing exactly the landing zone that you're going after, without knowing the exact niche, without knowing the keywords, it's hard to give like what Nathaniel was talking about, precise advice. Advice that I gave on that post was very general advice. It was just things to think about and look at, but without actually knowing what you're doing, I can't give you oh, this is the reason why. For our business, most of the time, especially if we're tracking, we have a clear picture of what's going on in that marketplace, and then we go, okay, this is something we need to double down on, or hey, I think we missed this by just a color or possibly a design style, or there's been a lot of times where we just changed up the font and found success. Each niche is a little different. How they respond to what you're putting out in front of them could change. I keep bringing this up. Nathaniel put a black text on black
It's
shirt
coming up more and
as
more
the
now.
only design, and it sold. And I swore that that would never sell. That niche was primed for that type of design. I don't know if it would work in other niches, but that was a big eye opener to me to go, oh, I really don't know what the customers wants. As long as they're selling, I'm going to keep trying to put products in front of those customers because I know they're buying, but can I get them to buy my stuff? Having it show up is kind of the number one. So the landing zone, you might want to niche down or find some different keywords. But if they're showing up, then I think it's the art that you're just missing the customer by a little bit.
Yeah, don't get discouraged. It is definitely still a quantity business. You want to just be putting up more and more so that you can get more information back. We always say I think even Allison was the person who asked this. Yeah, Allison asked, like, should I be going back and editing each of these listings? Like, our philosophy has always been it's easier for us to put
Move
up
forward.
new shirts and just keep moving forward than it is to go back and try to, like, maximize the efficiency that this one listing might
And that
have.
I just want to preference that advice is coming from, we have a lot of slots. If you're in a lower tier, it might be better to go back
Very true.
and switch those up. We just see it as another line in the water. Leave that one alone. It might eventually catch something, but let's keep putting lines in the water in that landing zone or in that niche because we have the slots to continuously.
Yeah. Even if you're using the same art and very similar keywords, it for us just makes sense to keep moving forward than to go back and edit something. But Stephen is right. That's advice coming from us while we have teams and a lot of things moving. So changing the way our system is currently working is very time expensive. There's a better way of saying that.
Time consuming.
Time
But
consuming.
we have a system that we built.
Right.
And we hadn't built in like going back and revising, because why do that when we can just add it back to the query and then make another listing so much faster than going back and figure out, even to go back into merch and find that listing to edit that stuff takes more time than it would be just to create for us.
Yeah. I think because we come from wherever making listing, like even on Seller Central, like it's much more time consuming and expensive and takes longer for all that stuff to go through on Seller Central than it does merch. So we're like, oh, this is quick and easy and free. Like, let's just make another one of these and throw it out there. So that's where we stand on that, Allison. We understand it can be difficult, especially when you feel you've done a really good job with keywords. You've really taken the time to create art that will match, that specific landing zone, but you can't find it. But just encouragement to keep moving forward and keep putting up more listings. Even if you can't find the previous ones, maybe try another niche or another landing zone. There's a lot of variables at play as well. I think Stephen explained that a little bit, but I think that's the way I summarize it in my head. Like when I go back and look for something that's like, there's so many variables, it's hard to just maximize. Like, this is going to definitely work this time. It's like, okay, let's just throw out 500 of these and hopefully one of them sticks. All right. So the next question I had that Scott actually asked is about a font manager and just fonts kind of in general and how you handle them. I come from working at a screen printing business where they are very strict on the amount of fonts that you have on your computer because it does definitely slow your computer down. So that is something to take note of. Also, we had to buy all the fonts because we're a professional company and we don't want to use any free to use things. So they were very strict on our fonts over there. And I've just adopted that for how I've moved forward in creating shirts or anything on print on demand now. I was trying to look back at a bunch of my designs that I did and see the variety of fonts that I used. And I think I counted 10 fonts over the last 3 years of just spot checking different times that I was making designs. So I really don't go crazy with fonts. My bold, clean, and simple is pretty true and true for all of my designing on merch specifically.
Yeah, but that's across the board for print on demand. We don't vary too much, even if it's a book cover.
Yeah, we have a system and we kind of stick to that system. So I found within those 10 fonts, I can kind of do whatever I need to and achieve whatever look I'm going for. But I wouldn't go crazy on fonts. There are some decent font managers out there. A few of them were actually listed in that thread. So if you're curious, you can look up that thread for yourself. But I would, instead of looking for the best font manager out there, just take time and think about is it worth going and looking for this very specific font that you need for this like type of shirt that you're making. Like if it's a niche that you're already in and you're killing it in there, you're like, oh, they'll probably love this type of font, like go for it. But if you're just doing a bunch of discovery research and throwing up stuff all over the place, I wouldn't spend time even looking for fonts to use, just because that is going to slow you down. And fortunately, but kind of unfortunately as well, like the very specific font that you're going to choose probably isn't going to make the sale for you. It can, like Steven said before, it can make a difference, but just using something bold, clean, and simple that people can see, connect with, and purchase is going to make a much bigger difference than having like, you know, whatever type of font you're looking for. So yeah, just my 2 cents on the topic.
I was going to say it can be the deal breaker, but the chances that the font is the thing that's the deal breaker is very slim. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm constantly running this business as a percentage business. Like what's going to give us the maximum amount of chances of success, and then what can we just streamline out of it? The same way we make bullet points, the same way that we do a lot of things, is more for the middle of speed and quality, because that gives us the greater chance. If we're doing everything on quality, we're only making a few listings per day. That's only a few lines in the water. We want to maximize that. At the other end of the extreme, if we put up thousands of listings each day and we don't have any bullet points, we don't do very good keyword research, or barely seeing where these shirts should go, we're going to be doing a lot of work but have very low conversion rates. So the middle for us, we found a good balance where it is speed and quality, and we are happy with the conversions that we're getting. Plus, we're able to, like Nathaniel said, test out new niches with the discovery side of it, see what's working, and then double down on that to help our conversions rates go up.
Yeah. This is a throwback to when these used to be 45 minutes
long. I know.
It's getting pretty long. So to wrap things up, if you guys haven't had your questions answered, whether we missed it somewhere, feel free to put it in the group and tag us on specific ones. We do enjoy answering these questions, and we'll try to do them live if we can. But those were the 2 I saw that got a lot of interaction this week, so I just wanted to bring those up and talk about them, just give our 2 cents on the actual show. But I do want to jump into our shout out and then talk about what's coming up on next Wednesday, or this Wednesday. Video. So the shout out, I want to shout out everybody who helped us with our new merch content. We will be talking about that more in the upcoming weeks, but we do, like we said, we're very close to wrapping up merch. There's still a good amount of work that needs to go into that, and with all of that work that needs to get put in, we don't have exact like time or any announcement to make, really. I just wanted to say thank you for everybody spending time with us who's in those groups, kind of looking at our content, helping us create something that's going to benefit everybody. It's more than just our 2 minds working on this thing now, which is really rewarding for us. That's kind of what we set out to do in the first place, is just get a collective idea of what's going to help people and put that, in front of everyone. And so that's where we're at. We're actually creating more courses. I don't want to say too much, but that's where we're at. So I just want to say thank you guys. You have spent a lot of time with us and given a lot of
great feedback.
Yeah, really good feedback that's been, constructive and helping us move forward with this. We have a lot of confidence going into the next couple of weeks that we can actually pull this off, which is the first time in a while that we've felt like one of our long-term dreams is actually like going to come true, because we've put in this amount of work now. So that's really rewarding. I just wanted to here on Merch Monday say thank you to everybody who's helped us out with that. That was probably like super vague, but more information will be coming out.
Yeah, it's almost like you know who you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't want to say it like that, but basically that's what we're saying.
They got to see us fight a little bit and kind of get it together.
You guys have seen us go back and forth.
I don't know if it was a true fight, but I think it's how we think might come off raw, because it's normally
polished,
more joyful when we go in front and present people. When we're really like in the trenches trying to figure something out, it's like I'll have an idea, I'll say it, and then like I'll ponder it, and at the end we'll talk, but I'm not really taking it in, and that's almost like we're aggressively come back at each other. It's just because we're processing so much information. It was pretty funny when people were like, stop fighting. And I was like, oh, this ain't even this ain't nothing.
We just get excited about our ideas, so we just start like splurting them out on top of each other, but it's fine. There's more on that to come. We're excited about the future of this group and the way things are moving forward. Like we said, we have a lot of confidence in this teaching business now that we didn't necessarily have. Even at the beginning of the year, we just kind of didn't know where we stood with it. But we're excited about the future for this.
And a lot of the people that have helped us. I think that's what you were trying to get at, is just for all the people that have helped us in this year, and it's just getting started with this teaching business. A big thank you to everybody that's helped us.
Yeah, it's been kind of a wacky schedule that hasn't always had a bunch of lead time to it. So we appreciate you guys just showing up and helping us out. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is the video coming out this Wednesday. I'll try to do that live and just from an art perspective talk about copycat landing zones and maybe a few other types of landing zones and how you can compete there and how you can like prepare yourself for what you're going to see happen on that landing zone. And hopefully I can make that clear on Wednesday if that wasn't clear enough.
I think visual aids, that's the thing that's missing is
Well,
like you
just
need
show-
visual aids.
Yeah, I'm actually just going to do over the shoulder and just show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. I've made quite a few art videos the last couple of weeks, and I'm always like just stumbling over myself with words. I'm like, let me just show you. Like, I'll just shoot a 2 to 3 minute video, and it will explain exactly what I'm talking about, rather than I can just like type this thing out or take a phone call.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of my answers are getting really wordy, and I'm like, I should just answer this in video.
Yeah,
because it's like a lot of information that I'm trying to get across in a very short period of time.
So look out for that on Wednesday. Usually just afternoon, like 1-2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we're aiming to get those up. Not super strict on that schedule, but those videos will be going up then. So that's all we've got this week. Thanks for hanging with us for 40 minutes. Appreciate you guys, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. My name is Steven. This is my brother Nathaniel. Together we are the Wingman.
If you guys liked this video and want to see more, check out the link in the description below.